There's a specific kind of grief that doesn't get a funeral. We have rituals for when a person dies. We buy flowers, we wear black, we gather in rooms to speak their name. But what do you do when the thing that dies is a lifetime, a future, the person you were entirely certain that you were going to become? This is Uncaged Chaos, a space of healing when life gets messy and confusing. I'm Andi, host and certified life coach. For the longest time, I mistook my imagined life for an imaginary one. I thought if a future didn't happen, it wasn't real. But the human nervous system doesn't know the difference between memory of the past and a vivid anticipation of the future. And when a future you loved is ripped away, that pain is metabolic. It's physical. So today I want to talk about ghost lives, the parallel trajectories we get locked out of. I want to talk about how identities form around things that never got to exist, the brutal anatomy of releasing them, and what happens in your life when you have to burn down everything completely before you can build something you actually want. Now let me take you back to a specific border crossing in my own life, age 22. And at 22, the world tells you that the map is entirely yours to draw. And I had my default future safely tucked away in my mind. I'd always wanted to be a mom. I'd never, not even once, envisioned a future where I didn't have kids. I thought I'd have a vibrant, messy, adventurous decade in my 20s, and then I would build that family. And then a grenade went off. I was diagnosed with stage 4 endometriosis. Suddenly, I wasn't a 20-something building a life. I was a patient. I'd quit my job. My calendar was no longer filled with happy hours, career milestones, or weekend trips with my friends. My entire existence was dictated by pathology, doctor's appointments, surgeries, medications with side effects that made me feel like a stranger in my own skin. That was my waiting room. And for me, that waiting room didn't last just a few weeks or months. It lasted 8 years. While everyone around me was building the foundation of their adult identities, my identity was being swallowed by chronic illness. I watched through glass as my peers lived out their 20s as I was supposed to have. I felt crushing weight of lost time. But looking back, I have to be ruthless about this. I wasn't doing nothing in that waiting room. I was doing the invisible, agonizing labor of surviving a structural collapse. I wasn't stagnant. I was under siege. The hardest part of a crisis like this wasn't just managing the physical pain. It was managing the ghost, the phantom mother, the version of me that was supposed to have the kids, that was supposed to have the carefree youth. We cling to these ghosts because they are perfect. The unlived life never has to do laundry, has a boring Tuesday, or taxes, or dealing with arguments. It's a curated highlight reel of what if. And for years, I used that perfect ghost to punish my current reality. I used to think if I weren't sick, I'd be happy. If I could have kids, my life would have meaning. To heal, I had to commit an act of internal violence. It took me until I was 30 years old, 8 years in that fire. The shift to peace didn't happen because I magically woke up one day and decided to be happy. It happened because I finally fully grieved and released the fact that my 20s were in the past and that I am actually okay not being a mom. True peace isn't the absence of sadness, it's the absence of conflict. It's when you stop fighting the reality of your biology and you start fighting for the quality of your actual life. I had to look at that phantom version of myself, thank her, and let her go. It was a definitive internal funeral, and when that smoke cleared, I looked around at the ashes and I realized something terrifying and beautiful. I was still here, and I had finally had the space to fully live moving forward. If you're sitting in your own ashes right now, wondering how on earth you're supposed to move forward, you need to know that this isn't about fluffy self-care. You don't need a distraction. You need a structural strategy. Here are 4 concrete steps you can take to start grieving your ghost and reclaiming your actual life. First, conduct an identity audit. You aren't just mourning a specific outcome like a baby or a career. You're mourning a feeling or a trait you've attached to that outcome. So ask yourself, what did the ghost version of me have that my current self lacks? Was it worthiness, validation, security? Once you isolate that core trait, you can stop mourning the unavailable container and start looking for a new available container to build that feeling in today. Second, give your ghost a definite funeral. Ambiguous grief stays alive because we leave the door cracked open for what if. To heal, you have to officially close it. Create a private, non-negotiable ritual of release. Write a letter of the version of you that didn't make it. Thank them for trying to protect you, and then just physically destroy it. Burn it, bury it, shred it, whatever you need to do to get rid of it. The fire has to be officially declared out before you can rebuild. Third, starve the comparative sabotage. We keep our ghosts alive by using them as a weapon against our current reality. The moment a day gets hard or lonely, our brain slips into the, if my other life had worked out, I wouldn't feel like this. That is a fantasy. Go on a strict ghost diet. Catch the thought the moment it happens. When it shows up to compare itself to your current life, say out loud, that life doesn't exist. This one does. And fourth, build a micro fortress. When you've lost a dream or a decade and trying to build a whole new life, it feels completely paralyzing. So lower the stakes. Choose one tiny area of your life where you have absolute agency and make it strong. A single hour every Sunday morning for a hobby, a specific daily ritual with your partner, or a health routine you can actually control. Prove to your nervous system that you are still the architect of your immediate reality. When you implement these steps, you begin to decouple your identity from what society tells you you're supposed to produce, and you attach it to what you choose to connect with. That's what I did. First, I looked at my partnership. When you spend your 20s in a foxhole with your spouse, fighting a medical war, you don't just build a marriage, you build a fortress. I shifted my focus into building something incredibly strong with my husband. We didn't raise children in those years, we raised a bulletproof bond. Second, I redefined what it meant to be a mother. I was given the opportunity to love my friends' kids, and let me tell you, it's not a consolation prize. I get to be the safe harbor. It's a very specialized, vital role. The auntie who brings stability, wisdom, and a heart forged in fire. I am pouring love into the next generation entirely by choice. That is a massive intentional legacy. And finally, I reframed my last decade. When I look back at my 20s from the vantage point of 33, I don't look back with shame of missing out. I look back with absolute reverence for the survivor. I am so incredibly proud of the past version of myself for not giving up and for fighting for a better future. I entered my 30s with a clarity most people don't hit until their 50s. I know exactly who I am because I had to fight tooth and nail just to exist. If you are listening to this right now and you are currently sitting in your own waiting room, if your life has been derailed by illness, by loss, by a future that was stolen from you, I want to speak directly to you. To the version of you who is where I was at 22. The one who is exhausted. The one who is looking at the medical bills, the symptoms, just the bills in general, and the empty space where your dream used to be, feeling completely overwhelmed. Listen to me. Don't fucking give up. I know you are overwhelmed. I know you are exhausted. You are so much stronger and braver than you have any capacity to realize right now. And on those dark nights, when the pain is too loud and you think this world would be better off without you, it won't. You are not failing. You are not stuck. You are just at the part of your story where everything is burning down to create something that you want. Let it burn. Stay for the after, because the architect you become on the other side of that grief is going to build a life more powerful than the ghost you are mourning today. This is Uncaged Chaos, a place where healing never has to be done alone. because being human is the whole fucking point.